Hi everyone, welcome. I have with me three students who graduated in 2018. They are from the class of 2017-18. So let's begin with a round of introductions before we go into our discussion and their sharing of how they chose their GCSE subjects, what courses they are in now, and yeah, that's all. Okay, so shall we begin with Hannah?
Hi, my name is Hannah. I'm currently studying in the University of Nottingham, Malaysia, and I'm in my first year of biomedical sciences.
Hi, I'm Hayley. I'm currently studying in Taylor's and I'm doing A-levels.
Hi, I'm Janice, and I'm currently studying in Monash University doing psychological science.
Alright, so girls, we are going to be sharing with some of your juniors about how you guys chose your IGCSE subjects, what subjects you actually chose, and also some of your study methods. Alright, before we begin, perhaps you should share what were your results in IGCSE.
For me, I took 9 subjects and got 9 A's and A stars.
I took 11 subjects and I got 11 A stars.
I took 10 subjects. I got 9 A star, 1 A, and 1 B.
Okay, let's go into subject selection. So Hannah, can you share which subjects you actually took for IGs?
For my 9 subjects, I did the 3 sciences, bio, chem, and physics. I also took maths and maths. I took English literature, Malay, and what is it that I'm missing? That's all. Oh yeah.
That's the more.
Okay, so nice. Thank you.
I took the 3 sciences as well. I did econs, accounting, and business, math, English literature, English, Malay. That's it, right? That's it.
11, yes.
Yes.
And I took the 3 sciences, the 2 math, 1 English literature, 1 English, business studies, econs, and Malay.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you guys talk about your results really?
Yes,
Yes.
we talked about our results.
Okay, cool. Alright. Why is because then you can see how the girls can share with you about how they manage the subjects as well as how they actually obtain the results that they got. Because I got to witness how hard they actually worked while at the same time juggling other school activities as well. So I'll start with Hannah. Hannah was really into the sciences, and perhaps Hannah can share with us about how she managed and studied for the 3 science subjects.
For the 3 science subjects, we had a really, really good teacher, Miss Myra, and she introduced to us the method of note-taking. She also taught us how exactly we should do our notes in a very organized manner and that we should be reviewing our topics before the class. At first, we thought it was something really tedious to do, but after we got used to it, and I found that for me especially, it was something that fit my study method and my way of studying very well. So we also did a lot of practice for our past years, and that was really, really helpful because we were able to know the format of IGs itself, and it made us more confident in terms of our preparations.
Of the 3 sciences at Hannah, which was your favorite science?
My favorite was biology, but I always, for some reason, did better in chemistry.
And Hayley, could you share with us about your study methods for sciences?
My study method for sciences. Well, past years are really important. To be honest, cause in school, we had really good teachers who were really good with the method. They taught us to actually understand the knowledge and not just blindly memorizing it. So it really helped with retaining the knowledge that we learned. So just with that alone, I'd say that it made our studying more effective compared to just simply approaching the question without any understanding. Other than that, like I said, past years were really important and the school really put emphasis on that. Honestly, for me, when we went back home, we didn't have to do as much because we did everything in school. Please understand that we did 3 sets of trials in school per week for each subject. I did 33 papers every week. It that's how you get grades. So yes, past years are very important, and I think for sciences and even our other subjects, the teachers had a very good method of approaching the paper, as in understanding that while knowing the content is important, the IGCSEs are also a very exam-based assessment. So we were very focused on interpreting the marking scheme and actually picking out points that consistently showed up in the marking scheme, rather than to just pick out what we see from the textbook. So we would analyze marking schemes and make sure that we found points that were consistent from each year, so that we won't be writing things that wouldn't get us points.
Yeah, there were patterns.
Yeah.
So patterns are important. This would be towards the later bits of prepping for IGCSE, because if it's a very content heavy syllabus, so it's important also for kids to have this like towards the end, knowing a little bit of strategy actually helps. Yeah. Okay, Jen, you want to share?
Yes,
About
I
your-
agree with them. Like, the teachers were really great, so that was one thing. And the note taking from Miss Humaira, at first I actually thought it was not important, but when I actually got to college and all, even in IG, it was actually very important noting down the very, very specific, small information that you really need. Very, very small. Like, the smallest information could actually cost you even a lot of percentage, I swear. And so, like, practicing past years, like they say there's a pattern. So, example of a pattern is, for example, like very, very specific terms to use in each questions. So, noting down those small information is very important. Cool.
Right. Perhaps Hannah can share about, because you also took besides the sciences, even though you were passionate and you knew you liked the sciences, but you also took economics. Yeah. So maybe you can share your experience of doing sciences also and plus the economics subject.
So for me, I am someone who used to be very rigid in terms of my study methods. So when it came to econs, something that I wasn't as passionate about as science, I struggled with it quite a bit at first. At first it was alright, the first few chapters were okay. And then as we progressed along, I found that there's a lot of things that I didn't know about world economy in general. And econs showed me how much I lacked in that. So even though I struggled a little bit with it at first, I'm actually really grateful I took the subject anyway. Miss Shirley, our teacher, also was really patient with me and managed to make sure that I got everything and that I wasn't left behind. So in the end, I managed to get the result I wanted for econs. So my advice, if you are doing a subject that you feel as if doesn't seem to fit you, do try your best with it first before thinking about wanting to give it up or wanting to drop it. It's not advisable at this point. Yeah.
Maybe Hayley can share the differences between economics, business studies, and also accounting.
The differences. Okay. So I think for accounting, econs, and accounting versus business accounting versus business and econs, generally most people can tell the difference, but a lot of people have a misconception that business and econs are the same subject, and that's not the case. For one, from a more general standpoint, econs is about the view of the government and the citizens. It is completely unrelated to business. It only involves business terms because an economy contains businesses, but it's a totally different approach from business studies, which is from the perspective of a business. So you already have completely different goals in mind as you approach the topic, even if it happens to be an overlapping topic. So that's a very key difference for econs and business. I think Jen can elaborate on that later. But for accounting, I think most people can tell that it's really different from business and econs. For one, there's barely any writing. So
And be happy with your own money. So that's one thing in mind. And also when talking about business, it's very little of theory sometimes. Like there's a paper, like maybe that's one paper of theory, but there's another paper that will be more of thinking outside of the box and relating it to your theory. So yes, theory is your base, but then what you need is elaboration, evidence, and your analysis on the situation and background. So when you're talking about business studies, there are also case studies. So be careful. Read the case studies properly.
It requires application and also some practical common sense sort of thing of how do you actually apply business theories in different situations. So I always thought that business studies was an interesting subject. Okay, talking about interesting subjects, there's also the three of you took literature. You want to share about what we what we did in literature, so that kids who may want to consider literature as one of their electives would know what they're getting into. So, who wants to share? Who wants to start? Hannah?
For literature, English and English literature really were one of our most favorite subjects, because not only that, it was kind of like a rest within all the world of so many different and heavy subjects. You'd think literature and English was kind of something that would be really heavy on your mind as well. But because actually our teacher was Miss Jo, she made the class very light, very interactive.
Oh, okay.
She made it interactive.
Light.
Okay, maybe not light.
Let's go with light.
We will not use the word light, but she made it more fun for us. It was kind of like something we could take our minds off of other subjects, even though it was equally as important, equally as heavy on our shoulders. And before the exam, we were certainly very stressed about it. We really wanted to do very well for it. But honestly,
you guys did very well. I think I enjoyed teaching them English and literature because the girls really enjoyed being creative. I think you have to be brave to be creative, because there is no, unlike the other subjects, there is no marking scheme. You know what I mean? There's no perfect answer as well. So it's really up to like practice and that sort of stuff, which I thought the girls did really well. So you need to be willing and daring to be creative, right? Maybe Hannah can share about what text we actually did, and also what literature actually involves.
we did Merchant of Venice. We did the English teacher, and to practice, we did quite a lot of other things as well. We did a lot of poems, and you must be thinking that because I'm really into the sciences, whatever I'm doing right now, my course involves the sciences. How English literature has helped me with that. Actually, it has still helped me all the way up to now, because English literature has a lot of analyzing. It has a lot of picking up points. It also trains your mind to be able to see from a whole lot of words and a whole lot of things the hidden meaning behind certain ways of thinking, behind different authors, and lots of things to think about. So honestly, right now, even as I go through my science texts, even as I go through even real life generally, it is great to pick up analyzing skills. It's great to be able to read between the lines and things that doesn't look as if it's there, but it's actually there. Really, literature has taught quite a lot in terms of that.
Okay, let's go with that. Here you come, Hayley, you want to share?
Okay. I agree with what Hannah said, and I think that if you want to be a lawyer and you happen to be really good in English, you could consider taking the subject, because you can make facts out of nothing. Nothing is a fact.
And you need to qualify that.
I mean that one sentence, just like the morals of a person, can be viewed in many different ways depending on how you justify yourself. So literature allows for us to do something like that, in which we have our text given to us. The text doesn't change, but from student to student, the answer can be completely different. And as long as you prove your point, the examiner can't say you're wrong. they can't. Okay.
So, opinions.
Yeah.
Development.
Yeah. Okay. Another thing I think is very characteristic of literature is the fact that you have to be able to express yourself clearly and to be able to form your opinions clearly with clarity. because it's not a class that you can afford to sit quietly in and just listen to the teacher. It's not that kind of class. You have to be able to participate in discussions and to take a lead in analyzing the text. Because you have to do the exact same thing in the exam. There's nobody who's going to be sitting next to you telling you what each sentence means. So it's very important that if you are considering literature, to keep that in mind, that you do have to be very participative in class to get the most out of it, and you have to be able to analyze with a clear mind.
Jen, what about literature for you?
Literature was very fun for me, and it's very useful up to today. So currently in psychology, I have no idea why, but they put history in my subject selection. As a compulsory subject, I did not take it voluntarily. So history, they gave us a lot of weird speeches and texts from very historic people who talk in very, very odd ways. So literature is very, very useful in that way, because Shakespeare talks in very weird ways too. So it reconnects together. And also, another thing about literature, there is a very, very, very high possibility that it might be normal English in your college. Because when I took Murphy, my second semester of English, which was compulsory by the way, actually had one assignment that actually included analysis of either a text or a poem. You can either choose one of those. So if you were to take simple English, there's a possibility you can't really analyze it in the future, like the poems and such that.
Okay, so now that you have taken the RGs and you're in uni and whatnot, are there any subjects, if given the opportunity, are there any subjects that you would take or add on to your selection?
ICT. I so regret not taking ICT.
Alright. Maybe you can elaborate. Maybe what are some of the skills that you need to use now that make you feel that way?
Well, personally, because I take A-levels, I haven't really encountered a situation where I need to be very comfortable with Microsoft Office and all that. But I have friends who are doing their degree or are doing foundation who are actually, they should explain it, right? But yes, I regret not taking ICT because I could have gotten another good grade. Hannah, why don't you talk a bit about?
I think adding on to what Hayley is talking about in terms of ICT, learning about Microsoft PowerPoint, Microsoft Word, Prezi, learning how to edit things, learning how to make your own poster. Right now in uni, and even in high school, it was something that is a really useful skill to pick up. Because let's say in uni now, as I am, in terms of clubs and activities, in terms of advertising yourself, in terms of projects, presentations, all of it requires some form of computer work. We cannot escape it. Even now, during MCO, we have to be able to be quite techy in terms of our classes, in terms of doing things online, in terms of making our own PowerPoint slides to give off whatever projects that we have to do. So ICT would definitely not be a loss if you decide to take it up. Another subject that I would have liked to take would have been Mandarin, because, well, first of all, it's actually quite a subject where it would be easier, slightly easier than the rest of the subjects to be able to score better, higher, and it increases your chances of being able to get better scholarships as well. So,
scholarships, yeah. Maybe you can share about the scholarships that you guys have.
Oh, that was sudden.
I totally forgot, but I mean, like, I think it's good for people to know, like,
Okay.
I mean, like, it's not the most important thing, but it's something to keep in mind as well. Like, the number of subjects that you actually take, if, let's say, you are considering wanting to have an opportunity to get a scholarship, that's something that you can't ignore, right? Okay, so maybe starting with Jen, and then Hayley, and then Hannah.
The scholarship I got when I entered college was the Murphy Scholarship, which has no name. I got one of the second highest scholarship options they have, which was 16K, and the requirement was 8 A's or A stars. And I also regret not taking one more subject because if not I could have gotten full scholarship.
Okay. Alright, but you did well. Alright. Okay, Hayley?
Okay, so I went to Taylor's. The first scholarship I was offered was actually something called the Distinction Scholarship. That's not the scholarship I'm on now, but that was the first offer that I got. And that was a scholarship that was given purely based on your academic results. From what I remember, the minimum requirement for a full tuition fee waiver was 9 A stars. Yes. So to be safe, if you really want to get the full scholarship, I totally think you should take 10 subjects because you need to have one. And let's put it this way. If you're competing with other people for the scholarship, they're not giving out endless scholarships. No school can afford that. When you're competing with other people, if you have 10 subjects, you're always one subject ahead of the people with 9 subjects. That's already a given. So definitely, if you can handle it, of course it's not for everybody. If you can handle it, do take 10 subjects. But yeah, afterwards I got the merit scholarship, which is something similar but with an personality test or whatever, and it's the same thing. It's the same thing. They just waive the resource fees as well. Okay, it's no difference.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, which is a good thing. So meaning paying 0 cents, right?
Yes, I'm walking around without paying. It feels so great when I use the school's resources.
Okay, come. Hannah also obtained the full possible scholarship from Nottingham, right?
Yeah.
What's the requirement for that?
The requirement for that would be that for you, whatever subjects that you're taking, whether it's 9 or 10, of course, as Hayley mentioned, 9 would be the minimum, and she did more than that. She went to 11. So 10 is a safe number of subjects you can take. But the requirement to get the scholarship that I got was 9 A's and A stars, which I did have. So it is also important to note that different unis have different requirements for scholarships. So for Nottingham, unfortunately, the highest was 25% out of the whole thing. But for different unis with what the results that I got, you can also have more than that, maybe 80, even up to 90, even up to 100% scholarship. So it would be a requirement for you to think about that when you are choosing your uni as well.
Okay, good advice. And one more thing to add, I think we had a conversation earlier before this. It's about, what are some of the skills you feel are actually important in university. And funnily enough, Jen mentioned being able to make friends. Which I think it's important. I mean, so this is something that you guys right? And then as kids, when you guys were in Oxburgh, I mean, while you were juggling your subjects, you guys also, I think it's important for you to know, you guys did more than just study. You held many leadership roles. Like Jen and Hannah were captains of the House of Zeus, and before that vice captain, and Hayley was also at one point captain of House of Apollo, yes?
Why do you say it like that? I was the captain. Why is it different from the rest of them? I'm so offended.
I had to work with her, right? Pleasant working experience, okay. But yeah, I mean, can you share about, I mean, it was not easy. I saw how you guys face challenges and also difficulties, but you managed it. But perhaps you can share about what skill you actually picked up from all these leadership skills, leadership roles that you held. Starting with Jen.
Jen.
So when I was working at the House of Zeus, one of the most important things I've learned was actually to work with random people. Yes?
Yes.
So it's when you're in uni or anything, you are not confirmed that you're able to choose your own group members, honestly. Like given the situation we are in, like the pandemic, one of my assignments, teacher just randomly put us into groups, which was not very pleasant, by the way. But we managed to make it work. Yes. And also, communication is something that's very important, such as how to communicate with different age range. So when I was captain, I had to talk to very young kids, emotional adolescents.
Adding on to what Jen said, rather than making friends, I would phrase it as being diplomatic. So, making friends is another topic, but yes, being diplomatic. There's a lot of times where in uni I had to work with people who had very differing opinions with me, and it's not an environment where you can afford to just yell at them or to quit because you're annoyed. You can't speak to them rudely just because you're annoyed by what they're doing. So at times like that, you do have to remain very diplomatic, but at the same time still be assertive and confident. Yeah, and it also definitely that was a motorbike. And also definitely other than that was the skills we gained when planning events during our period of captaincy. Yeah, captaincy. So we had to plan a lot, not plan events, that was thanks to the sports organizers, but we had to set up a lot of stuff. For example, when we had our carnival, we had to contact a lot of suppliers to find stock to find stock for all of our food and beverages or whatever else that we were selling. And those skills are definitely skills that have to be used even if we're not talking about uni. They're just real life application skills. And in uni specifically, if you join a lot of clubs and societies, I think it's a very useful skill to have because it's just a very practical skill that anybody would need to be able to liaise with suppliers and so on and so forth. So yeah.
Hannah?
For me, I suppose my biggest struggle would have been that at that time, the other captains from the other houses were all older than me. They were my seniors, and it was really difficult not to compare myself and what my house achieved compared to theirs. It was a struggle for me because at that time I was quite thin-skinned, and there was a lot of factors to take into place, and I felt as if the burden was really heavy because any mistake that I did individually would affect the whole house. And being a leader is just like that. When you're a leader, you just have to be able to take the consequences that happen even when things don't go your way. And though I was really blessed to have been born with the talent to be able to be confident speaking in front of a crowd, but I learned that leadership was not just about that. It was all about also dealing with people, dealing with parents who each have different expectations, dealing with teachers who are there to help you and guide you, but who also have expectations. Your own house members, some of them are not very cooperative. Some of them are really, really helpful. Some of them are just neutral and they don't really want to contribute. So dealing with different types of people and with different opinions really teaches you to say that you are not able to please every single person, but you are able to learn how to make the best decision for your house and to form your own opinion and your own decisions. Even if you make a mistake, it's a proof that you are trying. It's proof that you are still doing your best sincerely, for not only for yourself, but for the house and for the pride of the school as well.
Oh,
how sweet.
there's a picture of Hannah doing this.
I like how you mentioned being able to take it when you make mistakes and that sort of stuff, because we are not aiming for perfection. I think it's not just about the end result. I mean, of course, the end results for the girls were wonderful. They did really well. They're doing really well now. But I think people need to see the struggle that you actually went through, the effort and the time you actually put into your studies, the effort and the time you actually put into making sure that when you were given a task that you really went on or embarked on it 100% sort of thing. I think it was the spirit that I actually really liked about you guys. And I think you may not know, I've not shared with you guys before, but I liked how you guys had a lot of energy. They were, because we get tired as human beings, you know what I mean? But I'm a little bit older, okay? So
a little bit.
yeah, okay, I'm older, all right? But I get from you guys energy, as in because I see how the girls, and their classmates as well, how they studied, how they put in time to do their work, how they still do sports, how they still go out for competitions, and juggle many things, and how they had the energy to keep going on. You know what I mean? So taking care of your health.
Bless you.
Bless you. I mean, taking care of your health is also important, but also I think the mindset that you guys had, you were very focused, and you were very focused and concentrated on what you wanted to achieve, and I think that's what drives you guys. And then when I get tired, I'm like, oh my God, are we going to do this now? And when you guys wanted to do it, I got energy from that, actually. Especially it was like evening, and like after many hours of classes and doing work and stuff, like, are we going to buy stuff for sports now?
We were so energetic. Oh my gosh.
Marching and like cheerleading, and that sort of stuff. But that was my greatest takeaway from working with you guys. So, okay, so
Thanks, Miss Jiang.
yeah.
How sweet. We are the best batch.
I mean, I really enjoyed lessons with you guys for sure. I miss it a lot as well. But I'm glad you guys are in a very good place now. I think you've turned out very well. And maybe you can share about what are your plans after this. What are you planning to do after your degree?
Because I'm taking biomedical sciences, and it is a little bit new to Malaysia specifically. I actually learned about this course when I went for a little bit to the UK, and I found out about this course. Originally, I actually was quite passionate about taking up writing, English and English literature. I liked it enough to want to go to a path. So I was very torn between these two. But my final decision was when I went to the UK, and I went to several universities there, asked about, and I'm now, biomedical sciences, what is that? It's got the word bio in it. I like bio, and the word medical in it. Sounds very promising. So when I asked around about it, I was quite intrigued by it. I was attracted by it. And when I knew enough about it and got different opinions from different people, of course I got advice from different teachers, from unis in Malaysia itself, and my parents. I finally decided to go to University of Nottingham because they offered biomedical sciences degree, and they also offered exchange programs out. So after that, I do plan maybe to go overseas to continue my studies, and I'm definitely trying for a PhD as well. Looking so far ahead because I have a passion in teaching, and I might want to become a lecturer. Otherwise, if I had not decided for sure that I wanted to take this specific course, I would have gone into A levels as well, because I was so torn between the two. So please be very, very sure about what you want to do in terms of whether you really want to go into science or you really want to go into arts before you decide whether you want to take foundation or Murphy or any other course that is not A levels.
Hayley, you want to share what your future plans?
Yeah. Okay. So, for me, I plan to do something related to writing. And this is where I say, I think it's really important in high school, when you're still in secondary school, to use the opportunity to explore. As in explore your subject choices. Don't be so rigid in high school, because oftentimes in high school we are very certain of what we want to do. To be fair, I realized that I wanted to do writing since high school, but obviously that was not my initial plan. I planned to study sciences, but so obviously I chose sciences as a subject combination. But what I mean, be open in high school, is that by choosing sciences, I realized that it's not the subject for me. That even though academically I can score decent grades, that as I progressed to higher levels of science as well, it was just not something that I found interest in. And so I think it's really important to not just take subjects that you think you will like. We should take those, but we should also venture out of our comfort zone to find what we like, and maybe we'll find something that we can do well in there as well.
I want to graduate without having a broken brain. So, I plan to graduate.
Yes, we understand.
And then I'm going to do my internship. Then I'm going to do my master's. Then let's hope I'm alive after that. And then
That's a question.
that's all that I know for now.
She's pursuing psychological science.
Yes, I'm hoping that I don't go mental before I actually become the person who cures the mental.
I think something, now that we're on the topic about choosing your subjects and also about being very sure about what you want to do, keeping an open mind is really important, because I had someone who asked me, and he's not very interested in the sciences, but his school forces him to take biology and chemistry and physics, and he was asking me, what is the point of learning what in depth about plants and the cells inside of it when I know for sure I'm not going to be interested in this. This is not the course for me. This is not the job I'm going to be taking. Something that I did answer him is that even though you might have a certain mindset about what you think the subject's going to be about, in the end, at the end of the day, it's only a very small picture of what you know. You're only in high school. So some of my friends in Foundation in Science, they were all so set on taking arts and so set on taking business. And they didn't take maths, they didn't take bio, they didn't take chemistry. But something along their journey of life happened, and they just had a big twist, a big turn, and now they're in studying sciences without, and it's a bit harder for them because they don't have a base in biology, they don't have a base in maths, so they struggle a little bit more. So do keep your options open. Do not just think that one path is the only path for you. A lot of things happen throughout your academic journey. So even for me, English literature, English, I'm not taking that now, but it's still helping me a lot as to what I'm doing right now. So yeah, in conclusion, keep your mind open.
Yeah, I think that's a good note to end on, meaning I think it's important to keep your options open. It's not about being loosey-goosey about things, but you are in secondary school. You are a teenager. You're 16, 15, 16, 17. Don't limit yourself. I mean, you think you like something, don't like something. Yeah. But I like how you guys are concluding this, that it's important to keep your options open, keep your mind open, because you never know.
Can I add something on? Yeah, also just to mention that we shouldn't base like how important a subject to us solely by how much it can contribute to our future career paths. For example, even though I do not plan to pursue science any further after A levels, I don't regret taking it, because it's always useful to know at least a little of what's happening inside you. When I walk into a hospital, of course I would not have knowledge even slightly close to what the doctors have, but at the very least, when they go on about their jargon and whatever, I can understand what they're gonna do to my body and not just walk in there and be like, oh, you're gonna I totally understand what you mean by cutting into my aorta and
With your juniors, I believe this will be useful information for them. And also, I wish you guys well, that you would graduate from university, go on to do many good things. That you will go on after university and do many good things. All right.
bye.
Bye.